Where's the voice of the teacher? He's been silent too long? Guess it has been a minute. Let's fix that, shall we? Hello, and welcome to The Voice of the Teacher. My name is Jacob Montag, and I'm your host of this show. I guess it's been a hot minute since we've had a conversation. Last time we chatted, we were talking about how to build a healthy culture, and that's been a few months, and it's been a busy minute too. So I wonder if anybody else has had a very busy year as well, because a lot's happened. A lot's happened since we did Culture Builders. And I think that's one reason I do this channel is not because I want some sort of influence. I just think so much happens in the life of a teacher, and when you're trying to figure things out, and ink out a living and have a career and all the stuff that goes with that, and not to mention make an impact on your students, and while still maintaining a family life balance, it can get kind of crazy. So, it feels like it's been a very, very packed school year, and that might come as a shock to you because I've been at home this entire school year. I have been at home since August of 2022. And so what could possibly happen while I'm at home, you ask? A lot, actually. So would you join me as I do a year-in review of the 2022 and 2023 school year? So I can share my journey, maybe share some things I learned along the way, and hopefully find you relate to it. Let's go to that, shall we? So what's this year been like? This year has been a unique year because I have been doing online learning. I work for a company that does online virtual teaching. I did English in the brick and mortar setting for a number of years, and I finally had a chance to go become a social studies teacher. And so that's what I did. Social studies has always been in my heart to do. I love history. I love government, especially in a presidential election year. Oh, it's so much fun because these kids, they hear stuff online. They think they know what they're talking about because, well, there's just certain narratives that get perpetuated, and they buy into it because they don't really know what happens behind the scenes. And so, not that I know anymore, I just know that stuff gets twisted and hyped out of context. And so that's why I love teaching social studies. I love teaching government. I've taught world history. I love also talking about world cultures. I taught government. Let me preface that. I taught government in the fall of 2022. I taught world history spring of 2023. It was a shifting numbers thing because when you work in the private sector, numbers and class sizes can shift like overnight. The needs of the school can change, and when you're new at a place, that means you are going to be up for moving a little bit more readily. So yeah, no, it was a busy year teaching online. It was a very successful year on that side. And then on another side of things, I completed my master's degree in education and applied digital learning. You can check out those episodes. They're also on my channel about my journey learning about digital learning and how to do project-based learning and do it well. My website, The Voice of the Teacher, that is my master's project. And so I graduated with a 4.0 GPA. Graduated with honors, and so it was very eye-opening for me because I didn't learn so much content as I learned about myself and what kind of teacher I wanted to be and who I wanted to become. And that's talking to someone who's been in this 8 years. That may not have been what most people got out of it, but I learned a lot about myself. I learned about what my goals and what my hopes and what my dreams were, what I wanted to do to impact students. And that, frankly, I I like the online. I like digital learning. It's a lot. It just speaks to something that I was born with. And so on the flip side of things, while I had that going on for me, I also began some extensive medical treatments for some long-standing issues. Yes, it did impact my ability to be in a brick and mortar setting. We'll talk about that here in a second. There was also, during my time in the brick and mortar stuff that happened that left me with some very negative emotions and negative feelings. And I've taken time to address all that: physical, mental, emotional, even spiritual things that I had just kind of ignored for so long. If you as a teacher are going to pour into staff and students, then you have to have something pouring into you. It's a phrase that gets used a lot, irritates the bloody fire out of me. They say, well, you need something that fills your cup, because it really can be nothing more than a cliche that doesn't mean anything. However, if you actually follow that, it's more than a cliche. It's a necessity. You've got to have something being poured into you so you can give to other people. And then I also began the process of building and buying a home. That is probably a whole separate vlog in and of itself. So that's what I accomplished. I completed the very important part of my career, completed the very important part of my education, undertook a journey of recovery and wellness and wholeness, and began and then building a home. So let's talk about why I chose to teach online. I chose to teach online because, frankly, the brick and mortar system burnt me out. I worked in public schools, I worked in charter schools, and I kind of was left not real fond of either, if I'm being honest. Very long days. One particular place had me standing out in the cold and the wet and the rain, directing traffic. I had no problem doing that, but there were some negative health effects from that. It was nothing to stay up late hours trying to get lesson planning done. That's part of it. However, there's more efficient ways to do things, and filling out 15 pages of lesson plans will take a toll on the teacher. Plus, you're expected to maintain healthy relationships with students and parents. However, in today's climate, parents are less likely to trust a public school teacher because of political stuff that's gotten in the schoolhouse, safety issues that have gotten into the schoolhouse. Frankly, some of my acquaintances that are above the age of 40 are flabbergasted that there's all the issues in schools. They were totally oblivious. And COVID really did a lot to shine a spotlight on everything that's wrong with the modern day school system. You have some token reforms and you have some actual reforms that are taking place depending on where you go. However, a lot of it is insufficient to really address the needs that are out there. And I'm going to talk about that some more on this channel as time goes on. The burnout of breaking up fights, students that committed suicide due to unsafe school environments, the pressure of producing, and you have not as many tools to work with as you would need for the STAR test. English was very stressful. It just left me burnt out. And so a very good man recommended that I go to the online setting, gave me a wonderful reference, and it made it happen for me. And to that individual, I'm forever grateful, because it really has been a time of recovery for me. The health issues that I began facing were no longer ignorable. I actually, a couple of times, I scared the fool out of a lot of my students, because one day I fell over in the floor. I almost passed out. And then when I came to pretty quick, but they sent me home because of blood pressure was spiking due to stress. They just didn't really know what was going on. Plus, stress eating was involved a lot, because, that's something that I've had to struggle with. And I've since been able to get that under control, and but the weight gain has to be reversed. Genetically, it's very difficult for me to lose and maintain a healthy weight. In fact, if you were to look at a picture of me from 10 years ago and look at me today, I would be unrecognizable. And so there are several issues that, frankly, are it would be inappropriate to discuss in a blog setting that really it would shock you all to find out that I had to deal with. But I've been able to get treatment for those because, one, online does give you a little bit more time during the day. You have the company I'm with has better insurance than I've ever had. And so I'm able to address those. We've talked about the state of the public school system, but really the state of the public school system is in such disrepair across the board. They want you to do more with less. They want you to achieve almost unrealistic metrics to some extent. They don't teach phonics. They don't teach reading and writing like they used to. Yet you're expected to have high passing scores for an English test that frankly doesn't make a bit of sense. The good news is that has been reformed, and it has made a difference. I think a lot of things are going to improve in that area. But with all the demands, I was not able to also give time to my family as needed. It was nothing to work between 12 and 18 hours a day, not just at the school, but at home. And you'd have to stay late for extra events more and more frequently. They were also pushing teachers to wear fancier and fancier clothing, suits and ties, which, let's face it, suits and ties are expensive. They do look professional, but it's more expensive. And I was not having time to devote to my family as needed. And I don't care what career you're in. If you are a teacher, a pastor, a corporate executive, whatever career you have, you hear me well, your family should always be your first priority. Everything else is a means of making money. You don't have to have the most money in the world, but you do need to do your best with your family. And that was an area of my life that I needed to address. And also, whenever COVID hit, that was probably one of the best times at that point in my career. The whole world's falling apart. Teachers are freaking out and shutting down. Schools are just frankly kind of literally phoned it in for about a year and a half, some places up to 2 years. But that was when my skill set, my abilities were the best displayed, because there's just something that I have within myself that it just lends itself to that. And so when I started online teaching, I was told I needed to get my ESL certificate, and I cringed because I tried to get the ESL certificate 2 other times and I had failed. Again, the demands of the day left me with very little time to prepare, and there was nothing to really help me get the ESL at the time of my career began. And so I passed it. I took the test. I passed it. It was difficult. I was stressed out, and I was freaking out. And a lot of people will appreciate this story. I'm a Christian. I listen to different teachers, and Stephen Furtick posted a message on YouTube. It's called "He's Still the Shepherd," and you really should go listen to that message, because it was just a phenomenal reminder that God is still in control. He's still the shepherd. He works all things for our good. And that might be a simple message. That might, you may not be a fan of that. That's fine. I'm not promoting any one ministry. I'm not even trying to proselytize. It was what I needed to fill my cup at the time, so that way I could pass this landmark in my life. And so I got that. I got the ESL under my belt, and I can take that if I ever go back to a brick and mortar school. I can take that with me. And then another thing that was really cool, my company trained me how to be a STAR testing coordinator for a particular site here in Texas. I was able to learn how to do a lot of people management, testing management, all the paperwork that goes in with that, how to plan logistics. I had an excellent partner to work with this school year. In fact, we're getting ready to go back here another week for summer testing. But it was a really great experience, and I earned a few bucks doing it, which is never a bad thing. And then to top off the year, I earned a proficient / accomplished rating. That's probably some of the highest ratings I've ever gotten. I've been proficient for a number of years, but to break that glass ceiling of accomplished, it was a great feeling. And next year, my goal is to break that in every domain of T-tests, and eventually, I'd like to be distinguished. That's pretty hard to get. I really wish somebody would do a professional development on how to become a distinguished teacher, because a lot of us are scratching our heads wondering about that. So if you're watching this video, put that together for us. So what am I doing this coming year? I'm going to be serving as a team leader for 11th grade U.S. history. Most people would look at a STAAR test and go, no, don't do it. Don't teach that class you have STAAR test. Hi, Miss Medlin, if you're watching it. I still remember you saying that. I love you to death. You were a great mentor teacher. Meanwhile, back at the ranch. I put in for that. I wanted to do government. I was told, hey, probably not going to happen. What would you like to do instead? And I said, I think I would like to give U.S. history a go, because I would like to have that record of producing solid STAAR test results. And so we're working on that right now. We're actually going to be doing something called an asynchronous learning model. When that gets rolled out, I might have a little more liberty to talk about that. And so it's going to be a new dynamic, moving the needle to a higher passing rate of the U.S. STAAR test. And so I'm looking forward to that. This is definitely going to be a landmark year coming up in my career. It was a landmark year this year, and next year is going to be no exception. I'm going to be pushing myself to set a new record with my co-captain. So I covet your prayers and good thoughts, because it's going to be an interesting school year. But also, what I really love about the online school teaching, I've made friends everywhere I've went. Probably made a few enemies too. That just kind of comes with the territory. But I think I've had the most solid working relationships with administration, with staff, with parents, and above all else, students working in the virtual environment. Why is that, you ask? Because being a virtual teacher requires you to maintain regular contact. It requires you to maintain regular contact with parents, with students, with administration, because you're at home. You're not in a brick and mortar building. So you've got to maintain that contact. You've got to maintain those good relationships via phone. I use multiple methods of contacting parents and students, because I have over 300 students on my docket. So that's a lot. Some people don't like to be called a lot, so they'll respond to an email or a text message or a phone call. Everybody's so different. But what's really cool is when you get to establish those relationships from the get-go, you'll find out exactly how you benefit from that on all fronts: students, staff, parents. I'm so thankful, in administration too. I'm very thankful. And also, really, I didn't know this was going to be a benefit, but I really got to feel this. Whenever you are in a brick and mortar setting, it's very easy to feel like just another cog in the machine. You're new to a school, you're new to a district, and you can easily get lost in the mix. You can very easily feel like, I don't belong here. The principal's going to have their favorites. There's this click and that click and this click and that click, and nothing's clicking. But I just felt like I really joined a healthy school community, and I got the chance to rebrand myself as more than just a school teacher. I can be a content producer. I can be a technology developer. I can be a lesson planner. I can be a leader of people. And I want to do it well. So that's kind of where I see this going here in the future. And so let's move on to the health concerns. Because that was a big part of why I went with the online. So as has been stated before, I gained an absurd amount of weight due to some sickness. The blood pressure caused blackouts, but another thing was they realized I had untreated sleep apnea. And so I got started with a CPAP machine. First, that was, ugh, can you see my eyes crossing? I hate those freaking masks. But I eventually found one that worked at the right pressure settings that worked. And I was able to do that because you look at the symptom. I've gained a lot of weight. I'm the heaviest I've ever been. I got to get the weight off. Go to the medical professionals for weight loss surgery. And they say, sleep apnea is probably part of this. Here's a pulmonologist. Go see this guy. So I go see him because I couldn't think straight. I couldn't stay awake. I was forgetting stuff. And you could have a conversation with me. I would walk away and forget stuff almost instantly. Once I got that sleep apnea treated, it almost all straightened up right then and there. And so weight gain, blood pressure increase, sleep apnea, can't think straight. What was the cause of that? Stress. I keep circling back to that. Stress was a big part of that. Going online has helped reduce that stress quite a bit. So what am I doing now? Let's recap. I've reduced my stress load by teaching online. I have great insurance through my company. I'm getting ready for weight loss surgery. Probably going to do a blog about that just because a lot of people are going to go. You have two groups of people. They go, oh my God, weight loss surgery. What are we doing here? You're gonna die from that. And then they're like, oh yeah, no, I had that and it went totally great. So I'm getting ready for that. My doctor has outlined exactly what he wants me to do. I'm regularly consulting with a nutritionist. I've got the sleep apnea treatments. And I even engaged someone to help me do mental exercises to get my memory ability back. Because when you have basically what they told me yesterday, and I didn't know about this with the sleep apnea, was oxygen deprivation is what was happening. So using that machine's getting oxygen back in my body, and that is going to really help me out with the cognitive stuff. So I'm doing all this stuff to get healthy physically. Probably the mental and emotional part, I can attribute my improvement in that to making time for family. I have a wonderful wife who just really does a lot to take care of me and really support me. And in turn, I've tried to help her in every little way I can. But dudes, you know the truth. If he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing, and we married up. Our wives probably married way down because that's how I feel about my wife. I have a wonderful set of parents that have loved me and that have poured into me, that they saw when my decline and I hit the dirt pretty hard, and then they've seen me get back up again, and they've really poured into me. I've got a wonderful set of in-laws who have helped me get back up again, who have really helped me readjust my thinking about a lot of stuff, and have been an integral part of my recovery. And so all that to say this, I'm just doing kind of a one shot. This is what my year has been like, and I may explore more sides of that in other blogs. So this is probably going to be a little bit longer. So I'm going into year 9, and I want to finish my journey to wellness. I want to get my weight down to a healthy weight. I want to get healthy with sleep, cognitive abilities, which is just improved. My doctors are amazed at what that little machine has helped me improve. And I want to lead my family into greater stability. Education has become kind of a transient career, and where teachers can move around a lot. My goal is to really dig in deep and pursue this to the fullest. If that leads to administration, that's what I want to do. If it leads to ed tech, that's what I want to do. If it, a lot of people that have been with my company have been there a long time, so that tells me that this is a good place to be. And I want to deepen my family's spiritual connection. It's easy to look at the social and the emotional and forget about the spiritual. I'm sorry. You've got to have all three: social, emotional, and spiritual. You've got to have all of that covered, because if you don't, you're going to be a mess. Whatever your tradition is, you've got to make sure you attend to that side of things as well. And notice I talked about taking care of myself. I talked about taking care of my family. And then last but not least, I want to be a good teacher. I want to be a good teacher leader. So notice how that I prioritize myself first. I prioritize my family, and then I'm prioritizing any other title that might come after that. If you don't take care of yourself and your family first, no matter what you achieve in life, it will be for nothing. You've got to take care of yourself. You've got to take care of your family first, because it's easier to maintain health within your family than it is to have to go back and fix that, because that was something that was allowed to slide. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm grateful for with my current position, and one of the biggest criticisms I have of other positions. You might have more freedom when you're a single person to stay late and work late, but whenever you get married and you have a family, no matter what that looks like in your life, you have to dedicate your time and attention to the family. So that's something I have to emphasize. So what does the future hold for me? I don't know. I have plans. I've got ideas. I have dreams and I have aspirations. I'm thinking about going and getting a doctorate's degree, frankly. I'm looking at getting a principal certificate. I want to produce more episodes of this podcast. I also have got a few other side projects. I want to work more with my local church. I want to write and produce a book. So, what does the future hold for me? It's easy to plan it out. It's easy to say, this is what I'm going to do. But instead, I will say, if it's God's will, that's what I ultimately want to do, is just do, whatever, I'm supposed to do. Not necessarily what I want to do, because I think that will happen anyway, but I want to do what I'm supposed to do. And I know people who watch this will most likely understand it. So thank you for watching today. Stay tuned for a few announcements after this program is over. I hope you enjoy it. And this has been the Voice of the Teacher. Blessings on you. Have a great summer vacation.